you trying to get crazy when they sing? Don't you know I'm loco?
I would be like, everybody, because, you know, everybody on the show, even Frankie has more of an acting background than I do. Like, Frankie's an incredible actor. And so to me, taking it back to Seinfeld, like taking it back to Seinfeld, who thinks I'm a fucking idiot. I one time heard Seinfeld say, he goes, I had to take my ego out and realize that surround yourself with talented people.
Everybody, this is Bobby Tribal, aka Bobby Ruiz, and believe it or not, finally, once again, it's time for that.
I already forgot the name of the show.
I know it's been
the podcast, the Lower Left podcast here at the Lower Left.
Yeah, see, and we got our new fancy board working, so we're pretty excited about that.
Who were we using the old one with? I forgot. I think it was Roger Gassman, wasn't it?
When it broke?
Yeah, when it broke.
Yeah, I think, it was Roger.
Yeah, and then I reached out to the company. I told them what was the issue, and of course, it took me forever to respond back.
Yeah.
I delayed it. I was on Chicano time, and luckily they sent out the new power supply, and it seems to be working.
Yep. And it has to work today because we got one of those super duper special guests today.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of what I tell people that listen to this podcast. Like, we don't do a lot. We do as many as we can, but when we do podcasts, I'm pretty they're significant. You know, they're not like we try not to just have whoever or whatever sometimes.
Yeah.
Once in a while somebody will slip in, but usually they're worth waiting for.
We're like at 50 something, right?
Yeah, we're in the 50s.
Yeah, and each one, the first one was Dice, right? Dice won. Yeah, way back in 2021.
That's a graffiti legend. Yeah, he was here today. Dice was here today, working on a piece in the warehouse.
We got to bring him back.
Yeah,
sit him down.
Yeah.
See how life is on Imperial.
Yeah, he's right there. But we all been busy too, and yeah. The last one we did was Larry Turner, and then you and I did one, which I don't know if we're going to put up or not.
Yeah, if you want. I mean, we were just bullshitting back and forth.
Yeah, we were testing the board.
There was no rhyme or reason behind it.
Yeah,
well, but I always enjoy hearing myself, so it works out. Just kidding.
So,
JK.
Yeah, so thanks for listening. Thanks for your patience. But this is one I'm sure. This dude made a shit ton of noise for the last couple years. He's a Chicano comic. He does television. He's an actor. He's a comedian. He's a Chicano, and we're really, really fortunate to have here. He's I think he's a writer.
Yeah.
Yep. He's a script writer, and he is from the hit television show on Hulu. This fool.
Yep.
It's we're really happy and proud to have here is Chris Estrada.
Man, thanks for having me, Bobby.
Dude.
Stoked to be here.
I'm happy to have you. It's
an honor. It's an honor.
No, thank you. It's an honor to have you here, and thanks for making the drive down. And I missed him last time he was in the building. He had come to the building.
Came to the building. I was down here doing shows at American Comedy Company, a comedy club here in downtown San Diego. But a while back, I had posted some Teen Angel stuff.
Yeah.
You know, Teen Angel magazine, Teen Angel artwork, for people that don't know. You know, it was this magazine from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even into the 2000s. And kind of, you know, like Chicano, Lowrider, Cholo magazine, a lot of art in it. And I collect a few issues, and they're really hard to find. And there's like a crazy backstory of who's the creator, who's not, like, you know, all this stuff. But I posted about it, and then the new Teen Angel, the homie David de Vaca, hit me up, and he was like, "Oh, if you're ever down in San Diego, I'd love to show you the collection." And He's the owner of the Teen Angel collection, and is continuing the legacy. So when that fool told me, he goes, "Oh, I share space with Bobby Tribal, and Tribal Gear is, your logo is synonymous. It's like it's the damn McDonald's logo of graffiti, dog, like of streetwear.
I haven't heard that one.
It is. It truly is. It's like
thank you.
I could see it without Tribal Gear spelled out, and if I see the logo, I go, "Oh yeah, that's the Tribal Star." I see the T's, So and Tribal's played such a it's been part of my life ever since I was growing up. So it's really cool.
That's an honor. Thank you, and it's a trip to me when you see people that. Like yourself that I'm entertained by and that I have respect for, and I see you on TV and I watch your stand up and being successful, a successful Chicano, and just doing what you're doing, that you're hip to the brand, like the brand. And that to me is kind of it's really I guess it's makes me happy.
Yeah, dude,
and that people dig that we do, and that we've been recognized by people like yourself.
From growing up and seeing people that like musicians and artists that I love, or I used to buy art magazines, or like my I had a homie, he's still my homie Efren, who would buy like Juxtapoz magazine, buy like Swindle. I went through my little writing phase. I wasn't any good, but I went through a writing phase, and I was buying graph magazines. I was going over. I live in LA. I was growing up in LA. I'd go over to Melrose and hit CBS territory. AWR, MSK, all that stuff. I would see all that stuff up there, and I go to all the shops, and Tribal Gear was always there. And I owned shirts when I was growing up.
That's badass, dude.
So to be here and to meet you for the first time, it's real dope.
Thank
it's
you,
like
man.
Because so much of like the art world is like, to me, I'm meeting the man behind the spelled out Tribal and the logo with the arrow. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's so crazy. It's like you become, so many artists become their symbol. Yeah. And that's what's so fascinating about art. Like what I do stand up, and people see me, and I'm who I am. And they have to see me act or see me do stand up and whatnot. But what's so interesting about art is meeting artists like, getting to meet you, an artist I really respect, getting to meet Chaz Boyorquez, who did the title
logo,
art for this fool. And I picked him because I loved him growing up.
Who else would you pick? That's the man.
That's the man. And to me, I had seen a few photos of Chaz here and there throughout the years, but to me, when I think of Chaz, I just think of that calligraphy. I think of, of the homie, the skull with the pimp hat, I think of all that. And it's interesting to meet artists that you really respect, and you go, oh shit, I'm meeting the man behind the symbol, behind the art. Yeah. It's really the man, the woman behind the art, behind the symbol. It's amazing. That's
super, super cool. And thank you, man. That's that makes what I do, or what we do here, like worth it too. That's just hearing stories and from people like yourself. And going back to what you were talking about, like your graffiti, days, or when you were out there doing whatever it is you were doing, writing and doing your graffiti, and being inspired and being exposed to all the stuff that was in Hollywood. And there were so many badass artists in Hollywood that were up at that time. So who were your favorites, or who stood out to you, one or two that would really stand out?
Not to blow smoke up your ass, Mir One.
Yep. Mir is insane.
Mir One stood out to me. Hayes.
Yeah.
Because, what's really cool is that kind of symbiotic nature between music and art.
Yeah.
And the fact that these musicians are having artists do their album covers.
Yeah.
They're wearing their gear.
Yeah.
So seeing like...
Mir did that Limp Bizkit album cover.
He did other covers. He did, Mir One, seeing Cypress wear Tribal shirts, seeing like other people, like the artwork you did, also buying graph magazines at the time. I was really into like Infamy, the documentary was like blew me away when I was a kid. Like seeing all those guys from TKO and stuff like that, but just also like Chaz Boyorquez, played a big role in my life.
That's a king right there.
To me, yeah, the king. But also, I grew up into comic books, but later on, I got into independent comic books, and a big thing for me was Los Brothers Hernandez. Played a pivotal role in my life. If you guys don't know, Jaime Hernandez and Gilbert Hernandez are two Chicanos from Oxnard who created the independent comic book series Love and Rockets. Wow. Yeah, Love and Rockets.
Like the band?
Like the band, but the band got the name from the comic book.
No way.
Yes. Those fools could have sued, but they didn't.
Where was Love and... That was like an English...
An English band, dog.
Yeah, that was an English band.
And they got influenced.
I seen you wearing a shirt.
Dog.
You had a Love and Rockets shirt
That's
on.
not the band.
That's from
the Gilbert Hernandez and Jaime Hernandez and their brother Mario, their older brother. They all created a comic book growing up in Oxnard. These fools were into lowrider. They were like... What? They were lowrider fools, but then they were also punk rock fools. They were like punk rock homies.
How hard are those to find?
Oh, they're pretty accessible. They're still running. We're going to talk about this, dog. I want to game you up on this because those fools, PBS just made a documentary about them.
Really?
PBS, yeah, because, Los Hernandez brothers, they really made the quintessential American underground comic book.
Maybe I've seen it.
You've seen it, dog. I know you've seen it.
I see so much shit. I forget names, and I'm sure once I have a look at it, I'll probably remember.
Yeah.
But how did they... It's known that they took the name from them?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I know Gilbert and Jaime. I met them because, I was so inspired. Love and Rockets, their comic book series inspired my show, This Fool. And, for example, like, there's a girl named Maggie. She's named after a character in Love and Rockets.
Oh, badass.
My character, his name is Julio. Gilbert wrote a book called Julio's Day. And when I was creating the show, I was like, what do I name these people? I would look over to my shelf where all my books are at, and I go, Julio, Maggie. Wow. Like stuff like my little homage to them. And I wore their shirts on the show because I wanted people to, like, I grew up getting into, like, punk rock, and, I grew up into, like, Nirvana, and I remember hearing Kurt Cobain, he would wear shirts for bands that he loved.
Yeah.
So he could be like, that was me being a billboard.
Yeah.
And I wanted the show to, like, my character to be that. So I made sure to wear Love and Rockets t-shirts. And sometimes people hit me up and they go, oh, you like the band? And it's
That's
cool.
what I thought.
Yeah, but I always like telling them, nah, it's the comic book. It's these two, like, Mexican-American brothers. 3, really. They started 3 and it's just 2. But they created this American Underground comic book series that's published by Fantagraphics in Seattle. And they just amazing stories. Jaime does this story called Locas, and then Gilbert does a story called... It's different stories now, but it started as Heartbreak Soup or Sopa de Pena.
Wow.
And they tell just amazing stories, and what's interesting about their storytelling is their characters in their comic books have aged.
Oh, wow. So since they started, they were youngsters, and now
they're in their 50s. Yeah. And you really followed their lives, and they really... they really influenced me heavily. And last year, PBS made a documentary about them, like through the series called Art LA or Artbound.
They have social media, like people listening to the podcast want to look for. Would they look for the Hernandez brothers or Love and Rockets?
I think Jaime is on Instagram at Jaime, which is spelled XAIMEH. And then Gilbert is not, but if you just want to Google Hernandez Brothers comic books, you can learn a lot. You can follow Fantagraphics on social media. Fantagraphics is an independent comic book company that has been publishing independent underground comics since the 1970s. And these brothers, they were a really big influence on me, dog. Like the same way that, like, you were a big influence, Chaz was a big influence, like, I was reading comic books, and, to read, like, they were writing about people in their neighborhood of Oxnard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, Oxnard is like a working class neighborhood.
That's where Frankie's from.
Yeah. Working class neighborhood, like, all types of people. And they were writing about that. And just these very crazy, these stories that are about everyday life, but has magical surrealism, and they're funny, but they're dramatic at the same time. And it changed my life.
Wow. So it sounds to me like you have that same syndrome that a lot of us have growing up in Southern California, being exposed to everything and kind of liking so many different things. Just since you arrived, we talked about all these things and how you're a collector of so many different things, and you listen and you've been exposed to that, like, since it's all around us, like you, I never, you were into graffiti and art and comic books and obviously music. Cause it seems like when I see you rocking a t-shirt, it's usually a band t-shirt. Or something.
Try to wear a band shirt every now and then.
Something like that. So what was, where did you grow up and what was that like?
Grew up in LA. I grew up in South Central and Inglewood. There are two neighborhoods right next to each other. Grew up there, single mom, two sisters, and the way my mom kept me inside, because I was growing up in the late 80s, 90s.
Oh, it was rough at that time.
Yeah, gangbanging was crazy, just like it was here too, Here in San Diego, I'm sure. And the way my mom kept me in was she was like, le gusta películas? Like, get this fool, get him a card to go rent movies.
So you're at Blockbuster.
Blockbuster. My mom would be like, le decía like, the Korean people that own the independent movie rental place, let him rent as long as it's not porn, let him rent whatever he wants. It keeps him inside. That's really where I started, like, from TV and movies from a young age, watching a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Really, and then getting into music afterwards. And but growing up there, really, it was, the neighborhood I grew up in is all like 50% black, 50% Latino. So that's how I grew up, and just growing up in a neighborhood like that, kind of like getting into comic books at a young age, and then getting into music afterwards and getting into everything, because like when I was growing up there, getting into like, and I discovered punk music. At the time, you couldn't really dress like a punk, like people would pick on you or think that shit is weird or, so you had to find your own style. You'd be like, all right, I'm aware.
So were you into like Morrissey and Smiths?
No, I was into like the Clash, the Sex Pistols,
the
Ramones, Black Flag.
Oh, you were into the punk shit.
Punk stuff.
So you weren't, because that was a question that that I was never into. I like the Cure. And I
love the Cure.
Me too. I like the Ramones, and I was never into really into the Smiths or Morrissey. But there's this thing about Chicanos and Morrissey.
Yeah. I never got it. I even made a joke about it on my show.
I don't get it either.
I never got it.
I've asked people. I asked we had this pinstriper, Cisneros.
Oh yeah, Cisneros.
Yeah. I think he said it was because of missing father.
Yeah.
No, that personally for him, I think it's because like I think I don't. It's not music for me. I don't listen to the Smith or the Morrissey. It's fine, but it's just not for me. It's not what I like. I like the Cure, and I like I like the bands that I like. But I think when I was growing up, and a lot of people were into that shit. I think they were so into it that I said, "Fuck that shit. I'm not into it." I was just being adversary, But
you're being punk.
Yeah. But what ended up happening is I just didn't care for it that much. But I think a lot of it is also It essentially, like, to me, I think about it, especially if you're like first generation, like the way I am, a lot of those kids who get into Smiths and the Morrissey, when you're like kind of you're first generation Latino, first generation Mexican American, sometimes you want to run away from your parents' culture. Like, you don't want to listen to the corridos or the romanticas that they're playing because you're trying to find yourself, You're trying to find yourself. So I think what ends up happening is you go in a similar but opposite direction. You go, okay, what's my version of corridos? What's my versions of bronco? What's my version of like ballads? And you kind of find this like Morrissey Smith's world,
Yeah, I could not get into it. It was a little too mopey, whiny.
Yeah.
I just, I'm not, no offense to any fans out there that are really into it, but I agree with you. It was never really my thing. There was so much good stuff coming out of LA during that period too, because that was the same kind of era where there was X.
Yeah, X.
The Blasters.
The Blasters.
Los Lobos came out of that same era, and there was a lot of really good. There was like Talking Heads. There was so much good music.
Rage.
Yeah.
That was a big Rage Against the Machine.
Was like, I loved Oingo Boingo. We would go like follow them around. And
There's a band from that era that people sometimes they get a little looked over, but there's a band from that era called The Plugs.
yeah. Oh yeah. That was Chicanos.
Yeah, Chicano dudes. Yeah, two Chicano dudes and one white boy, and they were called The Plugs. Sometimes they would go by Los Plugs, and they were an original Hollywood band. They were part of they came up with X, the Germs, the Screamers.
What's the guy's name?
Tito Lavaria.
Tito Lavaria and the Tarantulas.
And then he later on,
with the Tarantulas.
he made the Tarantulas. But Tito Lavaria, he had the Plugs, and he started his own record label called Fatima Records. And what's cool about Fatima Records is they put out this band, this like punk new wave band from East LA called The Brat. And the Brat is the only new wave punk band who have ever been on a Lowrider cover. Wow. Lowrider magazine cover. Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
I definitely remember the Plugs and because he also
they were on the Repo Man soundtrack, if you remember.
Repo Man, didn't they work with
Bob Dylan?
Dusk Till Dawn? Were they on that too?
Tito and the Tarantulas were on Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah.
That was some good shit.
Yeah.
What about obviously your comedy? What did you? Because I was having this discussion with my son the other day, or my boys. I don't remember who I was talking to, and I was like, growing up, we had, you'd watch TV and it was whatever, but there wasn't a lot of stand up until later when you'd be like, should I remember Richard Pryor obviously, and then Rodney Dangerfield, and then the big takeoff was maybe Eddie Murphy, but before that it was like Cheech and Chong albums. I remember being in junior high,
a lot of sketch,
listening to Los Cochinos.
Yeah,
vinyl.
In junior high,
junior high, or high school, probably junior high. Listening to comedy records, and they were we would just sit around and smoke weed and listen to these Cheech and Chong records, and later on, obviously, when the movies started, when Up in Smoke came out, it was like a whole new world had just opened up. And then, but comedy wasn't like, it was on TV, I guess it was in radio, but as far as like comedy that we could actually relate to, stuff that dealt with subject matter that was a little bit rated R, I guess you would say. They smoking weed and they'd have different sorts of things going on. But who inspired you, and what comedy first, took a hold of you, and or who were some of your favorites and your inspiration?
For me, first comedy, like I said, because my mom was always like, "Hey, let this fool if he wants to rent movies, let him rent movies." I gravitated towards like weirder, independent stuff. So I got into comedy through movies at first. Like watching movies like Raising Arizona, Fargo, like the Coen brothers. Like, there's this weird movie called Brazil that I was really into, like kind of weirder stuff like that. But then as I was getting into that stuff, and then as I was getting older, discovering comedy albums, like discovering like Richard Pryor, watching George Carlin, Bill Hicks was a big one. But also at the same time, like liking comedy of that era too, of the 90s and 2000s. I was really into there's a comedian named Dave Attell who I love. He used to have a show called Insomniac on Comedy.
That, yeah.
Remember that show?
Yeah.
He's just the funniest joke writing comedian, and I always loved jokes. I love just tight, funny, weird, different style jokes, but getting through that stuff, and then. When I was older, I used to watch this show called Tough Crowd on Comedy Central with Colin Quinn. I'd watch... there's a Latino comic from New York, a Colombian guy named Greg Giraldo. I really loved, where I just thought, this was a guy who, dropped out of Harvard Law School to become a comedian.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
And he was just a badass comedian. He used to be part of the roast, Comedy Central roast. He passed away maybe over 10 years ago. Yeah, over 10 years ago. But he was just so cool, because I would watch that fool and I go, oh, this fool's kind of like me. I didn't go to college, but I just thought this fool's not he's just a regular square fool. He's just like a square homie. He's tapped into the streets, but he doesn't back.
Yeah. He what's up.
He knows what's up.
Yeah.
He but I just loved it. And it was so smart and edgy. and I love that stuff. And
Was he would you consider him one of your favorites of all time?
yeah, him, people like Patrice O'Neill, Louis C.K., Maria Bamford, Felipe Esparza was a big fan of. He's somebody I voted for on, like, I watched that fool on Last Comic Standing.
Yeah.
And I remember calling in to vote for him.
Yeah.
You know, him, people like Mitch Hedberg.
That's the guy.
Hedberg.
I was waiting for you to say Mitch
Yeah.
Hedberg. Like, that's one of my personal favorites.
Yeah.
He was just, his delivery and just everything about, he was just loaded.
Yeah.
He was loaded, like, I think the whole time.
Well, he
Wasn't
talked about he had a heroin addiction.
Yeah,
and that
that's
fool
what-
had stage fright. So people thought he was being a beatnik comic because he would wear like sunglasses, like purple sunglasses on stage, but it was stage fright.
That's his way to
that's
cope
what
with
killed
it.
him, right? Didn't he OD?
Yeah, he OD'd,
So
heroin overdose.
anybody that's listening, if you want to trip out, Mitch Hedberg,
Yeah, Mitch.
go to YouTube, go wherever, and this dude,
Yeah.
most people are going to tell you that he was one of the greats.
Yeah,
Like,
one of the greats. Really created him and really revived the style of like absurd one-liners,
and
almost jazzy, like
monotone.
monotone. Yeah, that fool. There's clips of him where he used to have like a jazz bassist play on stage with him as he
Yeah.
told his jokes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
That's-
that guy. That guy was
That's sort of like what Babo does, right?
yeah.
Where he has a
that's dope.
He's one of his favorites too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was saying, it's pretty exciting because, like I was saying, my son's into it, and
Yeah.
we're having a lot of conversations, and
That's great.
But he's been doing he did the Comedy Store in San Diego. He
Yeah,
does
right here in La Jolla.
Yeah, he did Thorn. He did American Comedy Club.
Yeah.
Madhouse. Madhouse. He's done pretty much all of them, and then
Yeah.
he said it's a struggle sometimes because finding open mics is a little bit difficult. But is that where you started? Like with
Started open mics. Yep.
How does that work, or how?
Yeah.
How did
How
that
was your
come-
first one?
Yeah, dude.
Like what did
You know
what
what's so
experience?
funny? I started late in life, dude. I'm 40 now.
Uh-huh.
I started comedy at 30. I've been doing it almost going on 11 years, and I started right at 30. I was like, I wasn't happy with my life, dude. I was like,
Damn, look at
Yeah.
what you've done in 10 years.
I
dude.
know, yeah. I started at 30. I just got out of a relationship. I was like, I was the kind of fool that I always say that would work 3 jobs to have what one good job paid him. I was like that.
Yeah.
I was the kind of homie that couldn't hang out because I had to go to my other job. You know that other fool that just stopped by for like 10
you
minutes?
look at this
All right,
dude,
dog, I gotta go.
just kicking it with him was hilarious.
Yeah.
I was like, I just gotta go, dog. I got another job to get to.
How did it happen? How did
You know, it was so funny. I always tell this. I always wanted to do stand up. I always loved writing. But I didn't believe in myself. I was always just like, I'll do it one day. I'll do it one day. And then, dog, I had a lady break up with me. But I always say this. I remember one time I was dating this girl when I was 25. And this is not what a punk I was at the time. I was dating this girl when I was 25. And I was like, I think I want to do stand up comedy. And she said, that's embarrassing. And she was so fine that I was like, you're right.
I was just playing.
Yeah. Psych. I didn't know psych on her, you know. I was just like, nah, that's for losers. Meanwhile, I'm like turning around and I'm like crying. And like, but, you know, that's how much I didn't believe in myself. Or I was like, but, you know, I remember when I turned 30, I had lost my nighttime job. I used to be a valet at the Beverly Hilton. I was literally parking cars. And, you know, I'm not really college educated. I don't have a college degree, but I always wanted to write film, and I always knew I liked good stuff, and I collected art. That's where all my money went. I would collect things, you know, and would teach myself how to write on meantime. And when I lost my nighttime job, I said, shit, I'm 30. If my 20s went by like this, wasting my time with people why shouldn't I have wasted my time on, you know? And I said, they went like that. And I said, if I let this happen, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be 40. And then I said, I got to start now. So I lost my nighttime job. I said, all right, cool. I have 2 morning jobs. And then now my nights are free. So I went to my first open mic. And then...
But
I had already.
You were into it though.
I was, yeah, I was.
You were
consuming
already
comedy.
going to open mics.
I was already going to comedy shows. I mean, I would go to the Comedy Store. I loved. I was buying comedy albums. You know, I was listening to the comedians I loved. I was listening to podcasts. So I had an idea of comedy, and because I consumed comedy, I think I had an idea of what a joke was and how to write a joke. And because I was writing scripts and trying to get into TV writing, not knowing how, I knew how to write a joke a little bit. So I sat down and I wrote jokes, and I found an open mic to go to. And then I went, and I did okay. I did all right. And then I didn't kill. I didn't bomb, you know.
But you did it.
But I did it. And then I went, all right, you know what? This didn't hurt. I think I could do this again. And then I started going back again. And then I started finding different open mics around LA and the LA area.
And people think that shit's easy. Like 1 minute is slow. Like it goes by.
You know what's the worst? Is when you have 3 minutes and you're so nervous that you say all your jokes in 1 minute. That's even worse.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
that's even worse.
People start at 1 minute and then they go to 2 or 3, and then if they're lucky, they'll make it all the way to 15.
Yeah,
or whatever. You find yourself opening for other people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's an exciting thing. Like I think Frankie, and shout out to the homie Frankie Quinones.
My co-star on this one.
Yeah, I love that dude, and we were fortunate enough to have him on the podcast and
a great dude.
And work with them at a show. And
that's my brother.
Just a real good dude, and shout out to him. But he was talking about how he would, drive a long way just to be on the mic for a short amount of time, and just it's crazy. But that whole scene, do you think is it growing? Is it flourishing now? Or
I think comedy is bigger than ever because of podcasts. You know, I think people like Mark Maron, who does a podcast called WTF, Joe Rogan, who has the Joe Rogan Experience. I think a lot of these, and there's so many other podcasts that started with them 10, 15 years ago. I think a lot of those podcasts talked about comedy, broke the barriers down. Like, it's almost like I think for a long time, people only knew of comedians on the stage, and they got to know them through podcasts outside of the stage and what fuels them personally, and, things like that. So I think a lot of podcasts did a lot. I think it made comedy even bigger. I mean, there's more comedians now than there's ever been, and there's more successful comedians. I mean, comedians are playing in arenas. It's insane.
That's really crazy.
I mean, you got people like Dave Chappelle. You got
he's probably the biggest. Right?
I think he's the biggest. But Chris Rock. You got Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, Joe Rogan. These people play arenas.
Yeah,
it's crazy. A lot of comedians play theaters, like a lot of beautiful theaters, but also clubs. Like there's a lot of club work. There's a lot of
and it's rough, right? Because you're traveling. Like on the road, like doing different venues. I work for a tribal casino, and one time I went up to a casino up in Northern California, very remote. Yeah, and it was comedy night. It was like Tuesday. It was like $2 beers. Yeah, like 3 comics did their routine, funny as hell, but like literally there was nobody there.
Hit him with that. Womp, womp, womp.
No, but like it was good. Like they were funny, but they were out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, they were in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
I'm like, man, that's a rough life.
We gotta learn the buttons, bro. You gotta done the cricket,
womp womp.
The crickets are the womp womps.
It's got rim shot, but I don't think that's appropriate.
I think this one's the crickets. No, that's the wrong one.
That's the wrong one.
All right, fuck that up.
Yeah, you did. There you go.
But yeah, you get some rough ones. I remember one time, Doug, like when I was coming up, I was hosting at a casino in Reno. And I was hosting, they got me, I was headlining and closing out the show one night, but the next night they said, if you want to headline, you also have to host the next night or whatever. I said, yeah, I'll host. It was the funniest. You feel so pathetic. There was like a bunch of old people from the casino. And then I had to bring up, they were like, this guy came up to me. He was the headliner that night, and it was a Trump impersonator. And this was around that time when that fool was running for the first time, saying all that awful shit, And this guy, very nice guy. He just happened to be a Trump impersonator, but a very nice guy. But a little like unself-aware of what he would say. He goes, hey, when you bring me up, can you say, oh, this next guy, I'm really scared of him, that he's going to take my family away from me. and then I looked at that fool and I said, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna bring you up like that, but I'm gonna bring you up in another way.
So what about the craziest experience or the biggest time you bombed?
Oh,
or crazy or bombed.
Bombing's a part of comedy, dude. Like bombing, I always say this: don't trust comedians that don't bomb. Mm-hmm. Any comedian who's not bombing, I'm not saying that you should be proud to bomb, but I'm saying good comedians bomb. If a good comedian sometimes bombs, is because they're trying new stuff.
Yeah.
A comedian that kills every single time, he's not taking chances. He's knowing what works.
And it's going to get old.
It's going to get old. But if you see a comedian every now and then take a chance and that bombs, he's going to learn from that bomb.
Yeah.
And he's going to learn, all right, how do I make that joke not bomb? All right, this worked, this didn't work. But in the beginning, man, I remember one time I was doing a room in East LA, I think. I'm not even from East LA, but I found out about a room out there called Lito's Cork Room. And I did it. I was maybe like 2-3 months into stand-up. And I was doing it. And then I was taking a little long. And there was some like big-ass cholo fool with his homies just watching. And I don't think he was being serious, but I was like, I'm not... That fool got mad that I was taking long. And he got up and he went, hey, homie, I'm not here to hear your fucking life story. Tell me a joke.
Oh, shit.
I said, yes, sir. And I learned to cut the fat. I became like Mitch Hedberg. I started throwing them out.
Real bad. And so, did you give him a joke?
I gave him a joke. And he was just like, came up to me afterwards. Hey, homie, I was just fucking around. I said, hey, dog, I didn't know that. You may know that. I don't know that, dog. It didn't sound like it.
Yeah. So from the open mics, damn, it must have happened pretty quick, dude. Like you went from getting on an open mic to starring, writing, directing a television show.
That happened about like 7 years in.
Wow.
7 years in.
So how did
on my 8th year I started working like.
So you progressed from the open mic to full sets, right?
Yeah, I started.
And you started touring, or?
Yeah, I would go do open mics. I would do shows. I would even come down to San Diego to do an open mic. There was an open mic at the Comedy Club, American Comedy Company, on Wednesdays. And once a month, me and my homies who were comedians, we would go, we need to go down there, do that open mic, and meet the San Diego comedians. Because there's a scene down here. And then if you come down here, they might be like, hey, be on my show. Yeah. So now you come down to San Diego. I've been coming down to San Diego for shows for a long time. Like, my homie Connor Laughlin, who puts on really amazing shows, first guy to headline me was here in San Diego. He said, come down and do 30 minutes. I'll pay you $200. And it was great, and like the one thing San Diego out here is known is for having great crowds, like really great crowds, people who don't take themselves too seriously, but they're smart and they want to laugh. But for me, it came open mics, and then I started doing open mics for a while. I started doing shows, picking up some steam in the industry. I was showcasing for Comedy Central. I was showcasing for this thing called Just for Laughs in Montreal, Canada. And
you've been to Montreal? You were up there?
Yeah.
Isn't it great? Montreal's gorgeous. Shout out to Montreal.
Beautiful.
I love Montreal.
Beautiful. And then, I'd go to San Diego, go to San Francisco, let myself be known, getting booked in independent shows in LA. You build a buzz. And then around my 7th year, these three guys that I know who used to be comedians hit me up, and they said we should make a show together. And then we started working on it, and it didn't take till we didn't set it till 2020. But
was this part of this fool?
Yeah, this fool.
So
yeah.
who were the people that you worked on? With
this guy named Jake Weissman, Matt Ingebrigtsen, and Pat Bishop. There were 3 homies that I knew through comedy. They started before me, and they had their own show on Comedy Central called Corporate. I was really a fan of it. And while they were working on their last season, they were looking for their next project. And they hit me up, and they were like, hey, would you want to work on something together? And when they hit me up, dog, I was doing comedy at night and working at a warehouse in the day.
Yeah.
So I said, absolutely. I said, yeah, whatever gets me out of this warehouse, But also, I loved writing. Before then, I had written scripts and wanted to break into TV writing, And so I started working with them. And when I met them, I didn't really have an idea of anything. I just wanted to hear what they what they had in mind. And then they said, we want to make something that's like about inspired by your life and where you're from and your background.
Did they know like your background?
Yeah, because I used to joke about it.
Oh,
I don't make as many jokes about that anymore, but I used to. Like I used to have this joke like, oh, like, you know, my girlfriend went to my neighborhood. She thought it was like a hood neighborhood because there's a bunch of couches on the sidewalk. And I used to tell her that's not ghetto. That's called hospitality. You know.
Yeah.
I go, you go to a nice neighborhood, there's no couches. You know. You go to my neighborhood, yeah, it's fucked up, but at least they'll tell you, hey, sit down. You know. Like, yeah. I used to make jokes like that, but so they knew. I remember they said, we really like the way you talk about your background and your neighborhood, and we're three white dudes. We don't know that world, but you make us understand it and you make us laugh about it. You know,
so that was part of a network that you had created, people that you befriended and you became close to.
Yeah, who knew me through comedy.
And it created that opportunity because since they had previously done a show, there was already a couple doors that were cracked open.
Yeah, a couple doors cracked open, and we started working on it. And, you know, around the same time, I was working and I was doing stand-up around the city, all around California, but I was also opening up for Frankie Quinones would take me on the road with him. Mm-hmm. And then, so that was part of my network too. And, you know, just doing a lot of stand-up. It really was consuming my life, you know. I'm so much so that I almost stopped writing scripts and I was kind of doing stand-up so much, you know.
Not to change the subject, but I read something about an incident with Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah.
Was that before or after this happened? This was
before. So it's so funny. I was doing a show at the Hollywood Improv. They have a little room called The Lab, right? And I was doing a challenge show. It wasn't a regular stand-up show. I was so annoyed that I was doing a challenge show because I was like, I just want to do stand-up. But the challenge show is, you get a bunch of comedians, people write challenges, or the guys who are producing the show write challenges on a bunch of little papers, and you put them in a hat. You pull out a paper, and you have to do your stand-up the way the challenge is written, right? And
for example,
play the piano while doing comedy. There's a piano on stage, or have someone from the audience sit on your lap and have them say your joke, whisper them, and they say like they're a puppet or whatever, right? Yeah. And this fool Jerry Seinfeld was in the main room, and my homie Brian Bokey, who's the comedian hosting the show, saw him in the hallway and said, "Hey, would you like to do a set on my show?" He wasn't gonna make him do a challenge. It's Jerry Seinfeld. Just go do a set, you know. And Jerry said, "Yeah, absolutely." I was doing a challenge. I didn't know that Jerry Seinfeld walked in. They asked me, my challenge was to sit at the piano and do comedy while playing the piano. I don't know how to play the piano. So I just started hitting the keys like puras pendejadas, you know, just like dung dung, like, and doing dirty jokes. Yeah. Like literally street jokes that everybody's heard, right? And Jerry Seinfeld's in there. And apparently this fool's looking disgusted. Oh. Like, what is this? You know, like, cara de fuchi, like, what the fuck? Like, you know, and everybody's laughing.
You got his attention.
Everybody's laughing, but I don't know that they're laughing at Jerry Seinfeld because I don't know that he's in the room. I think they're laughing at me. Shit. And I said, damn, I'm killing it. I said,
oh, happy and shit.
Oh, dog, I thought I was like Eddie Murphy. I said, damn, I'm on my Eddie Murphy shit where I'm not saying funny things, I'm being funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is there a video of that anywhere?
Dog, I wish. In my mind, I was like, wow, I just hit the next level. I said, next time you see me, I'm going to be dressed like in a red leather outfit, just like Eddie. Like, and I thought like, and I got off stage and everybody's still laughing. And I said, damn. I said, your boy's on fire. I said, there's nothing. I said, if that was the dumb shit I can do, imagine when they hear me do my real shit. So then what ended up happening was I get off stage, my friend comes and he's laughing in my face. But I'm not thinking nothing. I'm just saying,
you're on cloud nine.
I'm on cloud nine. And then I hear Brian go, we have a special guest. Give it up for Jerry Seinfeld. And then my friend's laughing. I go, hey, how much did that fool see? And then they told me everything. And I went, oh, shit. And then I said, dog, I was ready to run out. And then right when I'm ready to run out, Jerry Seinfeld goes, oh my God, who was that? That was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. He goes, I guess anybody can do comedy now.
Fuck.
And dog.
I feel sorry for you.
Fool, I got so red because I love Seinfeld, dog.
Oh, shit.
I love the show. I love him as a comedian. Like, I'm inspired by that shit. So I was just, this was like fucking 6 years ago. I'm like, what? Dog, everybody just starts laughing at me. Fool, I went from thinking I was a fucking genius, just I'm being a clown up there. Yeah. I'm not even being serious. I'm not doing my real comedy. I'm just being a pendejo up there. And I'm making them laugh this much. I crossed the next level. Wait till they hear my real shit. Wait till they hear my real shit. They're all laughing at fucking Jerry. It was just like, dude. And then it reminded me, there's an episode of Seinfeld where that fool George Costanza gets in the pool, and it's a really cold pool, and then his lady walks in on him changing, and she looks at his dick all shriveled up, and she laughs and runs away, and then he goes, "It was the pool." I wanted to yell at Jerry, "It was a challenge show. It was a challenge show." This is not my real comedy. Did you get to
meet him at least?
No. Dog, con la vergüenza que tenía, I took off. But to be honest with you, that to me is a funnier story than him seeing me do my real stuff and going, "Hey, good job," and you know. Yeah. I was just like, how funny is that? I take it with a grain of salt. Yeah. Actually, I think it's the best story ever.
You're absolutely right.
It's the best story ever because you see so many levels
of emotion.
I'm like, why am I doing this show? I'm doing it. I think I'm killing. I think I'm on my next level shit. I'm just like, yo, I'm like Murphy. I'm like Eddie now, dog. I'm like Chappelle. Like, these fools are laughing at pure charisma. Not even jokes. Not even, I'm just hitting the piano and saying street jokes. And I'm killing. Wait till they hear my real shit. I think that. I find out it's Jerry watching there. He's disgusted. All this shit. With so many emotions, dude. It kills me. It makes me laugh so much. It makes me laugh.
What a story, huh?
Yeah.
Like, that's a hell of a story.
No, you know what story I wanted to tell you too? I wanted to tell you an old writing story of mine.
Let's hear it. From
an old graph story. When I was in high school, I got arrested for doing graph. I used to work at a movie theater in LA. A lot of these homies were graph writers. They were from a crew called BNO, Beyond Number One. And those fools, I was kicking it with them. You know, they let me be part of the crew and everything. Even though my style wasn't that dope.
That's a trippy name.
BNO?
Yeah, Beyond Number One. So what would that make you, number 2 or 0?
Dog, exactly.
So you're better than one.
Better than one, yeah.
All right,
yeah. But those fools...
Shout out to those guys.
Yeah. Sweet guys. I haven't seen them in decades, but sweet guys. We went out to go bomb. We went to go do a bomb over this building right off the 10 freeway in downtown LA.
Get down. You were in it like that, huh?
We were bombing.
Did you ever hang on bridges bombing?
No. But we were just like doing, you know those warehouse buildings with the oval roof ceiling? Yeah. We were hitting those.
Oh, nice.
We were hitting those. We were hitting up.
But you had to get on the roof.
Had to get on the roof, climb up like a gate and everything.
Nice.
Bombing. And, up until that time, I was just catching tags and, like, finding walls that would let you piece or whatever.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even that good. I just love the culture of graph.
There's so many graph writers that are not that good.
Yeah.
But that are famous, too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of real famous graffiti writers that,
have one single style.
God bless them. But they're not that good. But they're all over. They're up everywhere.
They're up everywhere. So then I went out there. It was at night. It was like 2-3 in the morning. A helicopter ends up. An LAPD helicopter finds us. And I didn't know this, but those helicopters, they have heat sensors. So sometimes they can see, even if they can't spot you, they found the heat sensor saw us under an air duct.
Wow.
So the cops end up coming, a patrol unit. My homie jumps out. This guy, I haven't talked to him in years. His name was Albert. He wrote Trends. That fool jumps the building. I jump the building. But me doy un putazo when I fall.
Oh, shit.
And then the cops take out guns, and I stop running. I'm like, oh, shit, all right. Those fools arrest me, all this and that. I'm a minor. They take me to the holding for minors over in Twin Towers in downtown.
Oh, shit.
And then I'm just there, like, I'm not going to get locked up, but they have to have my mom come and pick me up. Dude, my mom's una señora, dog. Like, my mom's a straight señora. Don't speak no English, homie. Like, she's a janitor. Like, you know. And my sister was home from college that summer. They come and pick me up. And then the cops take me out there. And they were like, oh, should we handcuff him? And one of those fools was like, no. Let his mom see him like that. And then...
wow.
Yeah, those fools were dick, but I found out why.
Let his mom
see him cuffed up, you know?
Wow.
And then they take me out there. And then in front of my mom, está bien enojada. She's really pissed off. And then they tell my mom what happened. And then these fools, one's Latino and one was Asian, but they didn't speak English. They didn't speak Spanish. So they told my sister, oh, tell your mom that he's handcuffed right now. So if she wants to hit him,
oh, shit.
if she wants to hit him right now, that's okay. We won't do anything. She can do whatever she wants.
Come beat
this
his
is her
ass.
son. My mom looked at the cops, dog, enojada, like just... And then looked at me and slapped the shit out of me. Fool, beat my ass down. Beat my ass, fool. Get the cops to go, all right, señora, that's it. No more. No more. Beat my ass.
No shit.
Yeah. Ráyate el culo, pendejo. Like, you know, en vez de escribiendo las paredes, ¿por qué no te escribes el culo? Like, beat my ass, dog.
That's crazy. I thought you were going to say she got pissed off at the cops.
No, fool, that's what I thought. She psyched me out, dog. She was looking at the cops, but I think she was tan calentada, like enojada, you know, mad.
What a great opportunity these guys are providing.
And she looked at me and slapped me, hitting me, took the fucking shoe off, started whooping.
It worked, right? It worked.
Was that the last time you got on a building?
No, that wasn't the last time. But it was the last time for a while.
Yeah.
For a while. Yeah.
Dude, who would have thought? That's a great story.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wanted to tell that to Tribal Eyes.
That's old school justice, right there.
Old school justice, dog. I call that Señora justice.
That could work in one of your scripts somewhere.
Yeah, I call that Señora justice.
Yeah, hell yeah. And the opportunity. Go
you
ahead,
just
beat
turn
up.
off your cam.
Yeah.
This was way before that, dog. This was back in this was like 01, 02, when fools didn't have cameras like that. I told my mom, hey, you want to beat him? If you want to hit him, you could. It's okay. You know, like...
And there he is.
It was minority cops, too, so it makes it even more okay.
Yeah. And then she looked at them, like... And then turned around, dog, and started...
It was on.
I thought she was going to be like, nah, well, I'm going to handle this at home. Nah, fool. She took advantage.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing right there.
Yeah, isn't that hilarious?
Yeah.
It kills me, dog.
But I could picture the thing is, I pictured the whole story in my head, and it looked like a movie.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, I don't know, it killed me, man. It killed me that my mom did that. I still talk about that every now and then. I'll bring it up and say apena. She gets a little like embarrassed. And she goes, oh, well, why were you writing on walls?
So you went from a thug. Graffiti.
The lowest.
No,
I wasn't even no thug.
No, graffiti bombing guy.
I went from a graffiti toy.
Punk rock.
I wasn't even good.
So graffiti toy, punk rock, magazine collector, warehouse worker.
To being a comic.
Stand up,
writing
open mic. And then you met these dudes, and then this fool.
Yeah, this fool. Yeah, and then we made this fool.
So how did these guys? You guys just all wrote it together?
Yeah, you know they.
So did you? But it seems to me like based on the cast and the storyline, it seems like a lot of it came through your eyes, right?
Yeah, a lot of it,
and then, but it also seems so. I mean, when I watch it, I look at it, that's got to be improv. Like, there's people that are just going.
Oh, that was all written.
Yeah.
All written.
It was all written?
Tight joke written jokes, yeah.
It's really well written.
Yeah, man. Really well written. We wrote the shit out of those scripts and those jokes. And
because there's some shit that just sounds like the way, any homie would talk.
Yeah, that's how we wanted to make it.
That was perfect.
It was really inspired by, like, the way I grew up with my cousin. Like, the relationship that I had with my cousins growing up. My cousin Carlos, my cousin Luis, specifically Luis. That's even who I named the character after.
Yeah.
My cousin Luis, who now he got deported, lives in Tijuana now. And but it was based off of him, kind of his personality, the way that's funny.
Frankie's character was based off of your primo.
Yeah, Based off
So
my
your real primo.
My real primo.
So
my
you
real
incorporated
primo
a lot
Luis
of
and Carlos.
real life experiences into the script.
Yeah, real life experience. Like there's an episode, even the stories with the mom. Like my mom's a janitor, or she's retired now, but she was a janitor, and she used to steal toilet paper from her job and bring it to the house. Yeah. And we made an episode about that.
I remember.
Like about how.
You want to hear something real trippy? You know the old lady, the real old lady?
Yeah, the grandma.
Oh, the grandma?
Yeah, Julia Vera.
That's my mom's friend.
No,
from
mom,
high
is
school
for real?
in Laredo, Texas. Yeah,
she's from. That's why I know you're for real.
Yeah.
Esa señora, she's from Laredo.
That's where my family's from. My mom, my parents are from Laredo, and my mom and dad know her.
Julia Vera.
We were watching it at their house. I was watching it with my parents, which they enjoyed the show too, and they're in their 80s.
Oh, good.
But my mom goes, "Hey, that's my friend. I've known her forever, like from Laredo." I'm like, "Oh no,
Julia Vera. She's from Laredo.
Yeah.
How trippy is that, man?
That was what a small world, dog.
But it's genuine people, and you guys all nailed it. Like
thanks,
the
man.
relationships and the characters, and it was engaging. And then
we got Michael Imperioli from The Sopranos to be in it.
What was that like?
Amazing.
I heard Frankie was saying he's hella cool.
Hella cool, dog. Just a guy who cares about acting. Like he even told me he read the script and he was like, "Yeah, I really like this show a lot." Like, and I told him his character. I go, "You're kind of the only white character in the show, but you're not gonna be a punk. You're gonna be like a real flawed, genuine person who means well, with a big ass fucking camote." And we're gonna make the joke.
He's all, I'm in.
And he was like, "You got it."
Yeah.
And he was cool, man. He's just he's an artist. You know, he's a guy who like came from experimental theater in New York, who like did movies, wrote movies. He wrote the movie Summer of Sam that Spike Lee directed. He was in Goodfellas. He was in some Clockers, so many amazing movies, and then found himself in The Sopranos, and then, you know, worked after that. But then when we found this project, I never thought that fool would say yes. I just thought he's probably, who knows. But he was like, "This is great. I want to be a part of it. This is a really smart comedy." And I think he's really funny. He's very funny when he acts, like as a dry person. And he was just great. He was really professional, and he gave a fuck about acting. Like anytime we were like, me and Frankie were on set, he would come up to us and go, "Hey, let's practice our lines together."
That's cool.
Yeah, just an amazing
guy. Probably
really
intimidating at first, right? Like it just because of being such the actor and his credentials, and just from The Sopranos. And
intimidating, dude. Incredibly intimidating. Like to be working with someone like that. I would be like, everybody, because, you know, everybody on the show, even Frankie has more of an acting background than I do. Like, Frankie's an incredible actor. And so to me, taking it back to Seinfeld, like taking it back to Seinfeld, who thinks I'm a fucking idiot. I one time heard Seinfeld say, he goes, "I had to take my ego out and realize that surround yourself with talented people." Because he was not a trained actor, but he brought in, you know, all those Jason Alexander, Julian Dreyfus, you know, all these people around him. And he said that was, and I felt like that. I felt like, oh shit, I'm like
a part of a cast.
I'm part of a cast, and I'm like the Jerry in the situation where it's like, I come from pure stand-up comedy and writing, and these people are brilliant actors that are only going to help. If I do my part, y le echo ganas, and I work hard, they're only going to make me look better because they're so good.
Yeah.
You know.
And that worked. There was one episode that stood out where you guys were all looking to go on a gang, like
beat up some homies,
like a gang fight. And you guys were getting together. That was funny, dude.
Yeah.
That was
based off of a real thing. That was based off of one time I was in my neighborhood and my homie Chemo, he's my compadre. I'm the godfather to his oldest daughter. I was like maybe 19, 20 at the time. I was walking in my neighborhood. This fool pulls up with like two other fools. He goes, "Hey, fool, we're going to go fuck up some fools at the park. You want to go?" This was in Inglewood. And I went like, "Nah, fool." He goes, "Come on, dog, you're my fucking friend." And I went, "All right, fool, I'll get in." And then we got in, and we kept going to different homies' houses. Like, "Hey, these fools that we have a problem with." Some would say yes, some would say no. And then finally we got to the park and they were there and nothing happened because the cops told us to go home.
Oh shit. That was so
it was
inspired by
that situation.
That was, and then so you got season 2.
Yeah, season 2.
So the question is,
do we have season 3?
Possibly.
We're waiting to hear.
Yeah,
well, we still don't know. I hope.
So are you currently writing for anything else, or for have any other projects?
I'm gonna put out a short movie that I did. I did a short movie before season 2 started that we screened in LA. It's a cool short movie that I made with my homie Steven Fine Arts. It's called
That's his real name?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Jewish homie.
Spell
Fine Arts. FEIN.
Oh,
Fine.
okay, yeah.
And then Arts,
yeah.
ARTZ.
Oh, wow.
I said, dog, you got the best name in the industry.
That's
Fine
a cool
Arts.
name.
Yeah. And we made a short film called, I'm going to send it to you. It's called 5th of July. And it's about two like Latino homies like me and this other fool. We're looking for illegal fireworks the day after 4th of July. And it's and in looking for illegal we get wrapped up in a bunch of crazy shit.
So that's funny that you say that. Well, because there was a situation that my brother, we were little kids, we were still living in LA, and what we would do is we would go out into the street and look for duds, or ones that wouldn't go off, or ones that had real small fuses. And he found one. We found one. He lit it. It was, and we didn't know what kind it was, so he just lit it, and it was one of those ones that spun
a flower.
And I don't know what it was, and it hit the side of a hill and caught the hill on fire.
No, my man.
Yeah,
and Bobby's an arsonist.
No, it wasn't. It was my brother. Shout out to Joey. Yeah. He did that, and the fire department came, but that was the day after the 4th of July. But are you talking about like the places that sell the fireworks?
No.
Or you would go out onto the street and look for them?
So the story is that we're looking for illegal fireworks. We're not looking for
TJ fireworks?
Yeah, like TJ fireworks. So, you have people who sell them.
Yeah.
So the idea is that we're looking for illegal fireworks, and
you don't have to tell the whole movie.
No, don't worry about it. I'll tell. I play a guy whose friend calls him up and says, "Hey, come with me. Does your cousin still sell illegal fireworks?" I go, "Yeah, but he's probably out. It's like the day after 4th of July." We go over there. He goes, "Nah, I don't have any, but go to my connect, White Boy Eddie." So we go to White Boy Eddie's house. He goes, "I don't have any. Go to my connect." And we go meet this guy who's also like a drug lord named Diablo.
Shit, nice.
And then that guy is actually played by a really talented actor from San Diego named Joseph Raymond Lucero.
I know, yeah. He's been on the podcast.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
That guy,
Joey.
I for 2 seasons I tried to get that fool on this fool, but he was always on Mayans, and it never worked out. But I love that.
He's
guy.
A great dude.
He's
shout out
genuine
Joey.
Dude. Genuine guy and a fucking really talented guy.
And his role on the Mayans, if you watch the way Mayans Creeper, ended, he was like the loyal, honorable. He took the L, the rap for everybody, for the whole club, And then but you'd have to watch. But
I'll send you.
He's in it.
Yeah, he's in it. Yeah, because I knew him because he had auditioned for this fool, and I tried to get him on the show as different characters, like. First season, there's this character named Tiny Juan that like used to get bullied by the Luis character, and he ends up like somehow Luis's nephews are getting punked by some other kid. So he goes, "Let's go talk to his dad," and it turns out his dad is the kid that he used to punk when they were kids. We wanted originally that role was meant for Joseph, but Joseph couldn't do it because he was working on. Mayans.
He's such a positive, great dude, man. Like super solid.
I love that dude.
And very. He helps people. He's inspiring.
A good person,
he worked with different youth groups and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's an ambassador for Homeboy Industries,
and then he does his thing called Change is Possible.
Change is Possible. Yeah. I'm gonna buy one of that fool's hoodies. Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna try to go tonight. I'll hit him up.
Yeah,
I'll hit him up. See if he's available. He's around.
Yeah, I know
He's not far from here.
He spends his time between
here and if he's in town LA. Or if he's working on anything.
Yeah, he spends his time between here and LA. Yeah, but such a good dude. But anyways, he's in it. Kurt Fox is in it. A really funny comedian. Kurt Fox is in it, and some of the actors from this fool are in it. And I made that, and I'm gonna put that out in like a week or 2 on YouTube.
Oh wow!
We got into film festivals, and I want to put it out now so people can see it publicly. It's like a 13-minute short film. And then right now I'm writing a feature. I'm writing a feature with a buddy.
Oh shit!
And then
a whole movie?
Yeah, trying. Yeah, trying.
Well, that's the only way shit happens.
The only shit
you gotta try, or it ain't gonna happen. Like people think it's just shit's just gonna fall on your lap, and let's do this shit. You have to ponerle ganas, like you're saying, dude. Just try and give it a shot. And if it works, cool. If it doesn't work, cool. You gave it a shot.
I always tell people that, man. Like, try, because you won't regret trying, even if it doesn't work out.
Yeah,
even if it doesn't work out, because you know why? I always tell people, if people say, I want to try doing that, I go, try it. You might not like it, and that's good, because then at least you found out you didn't like it.
Yeah.
I go,
you learned something.
And I go, because, dude, I'm telling you, I blew off my whole, I didn't start comedy till I was 30. I blew off my whole 20s, like, being
but
envious of other people.
From 30 to 40, you were in high gear.
Yeah, high gear.
You know what I mean? Like, you kicked yourself in the ass, and look at where you're at.
Yeah.
Like, so you've worked with some pretty amazing people.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that you would really like to work with, or
man, the Coen brothers, I love those guys.
They did Napoleon Dynamite, right?
No, that's I forgot that guy's
Those
name.
are brothers too, no?
Those are brothers too.
So they did Nacho Libre?
No, these guys, they did the movie Fargo. They did the movie No Country for Old Men.
Okay, I remember that one.
Who Fargo,
did?
No
It was
Country
the
for Old
same
Men.
people that did Nacho Libre and Napoleon Dynamite was the same. I thought they were brothers
I think
too.
so too. Yeah, I
Weren't
think
they
they
brothers?
are. Yeah, but different guys, not the same guys. But yeah, I'd love to work with them. I also love, like, just getting to do stand up is so much fun. I'm still doing stand up all the time. I'm going to be in Sacramento in February 22nd to the 24th at the Punchline up there, and yeah, just getting a chance to keep making movies, whether it's season 3 of this fool, if we get it, and if not, hopefully I get to make more other things, and I'm gonna echarle ganas,
So that would be the ultimate. So here you're in a good. I mean, I think as a Chicano and being in the position, because I've had friends. We have mutual friends, and it's difficult.
Yeah,
a lot of people say, well, if you're not in this group, and you probably know the group that I'm talking about, it's harder to break in to movies and television and things like that. Like there's an A-list of Chicanos, and more power to them as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But those are the people that have the most influence in Hollywood.
Yeah.
There is a new network, I think.
There's a new network of young people who are making creative stuff, of young, like, Chicanos, Latinos, like, there's Frankie, there's me, there's
Felipe.
There's Felipe Esparza, there's the homie who's from down here, who's part of Fools Gone Wild, like, people, there's all types of people. There's so many comedians and different types of people. Like, there's that young guy, Ralph Barboza.
Yeah.
There's, even just where I'm from, like in LA at the Comedy Store, I get to see other Latino comedians, like, Chicanos and Latinos.
Oh, there's Concrete too.
Oh yeah, I don't know him, but that
dude's hilarious.
Very talented dude.
The stuff that
makes
he
a lot
posts,
of sketches.
His sketches and posts, and he's really good the way that he shoots stuff.
Yeah,
that dude's really funny too.
Yeah, really creative. That guy's blowing up.
But I think and hopefully we're going into our time period now. Finally,
I think so too.
Hopefully, and I think with this fool, that was definitely. One of the things that opened those doors, and besides this fool, I'm real proud of my Soul Assassin brothers.
Are you kidding? Those dudes
doing LA Originals, Esteban and Cartoon, and
those guys are a huge inspiration. For me growing up and seeing, like, I remember getting a bootleg copy of Seeing Ink, the documentary of that fool cartoon in Japan.
Yeah,
and then or me buying, like, Esteban's books. And, like, knowing who Esteban was, like, knowing who Cartoon was, knowing who, like, people behind part of that Soul Assassins clique, and to see that was like it was an art collective.
Yeah.
Of, like, you had your MCs, you had Cypers, you had, like, but you also had you had a photographer, you had a tattoo artist who was also, and you had you're a graph, and, like, you have just different people from, like, That's what I think Soul Assassins and they brought that element of like Chicano Latino culture to hip hop and the mainstream.
Yeah, there's and then going, for me it's looking at people that really struggled even more, like the homies from Los Lobos and that talent, like you were saying, the guys from the Plugs,
the Brat, the Hernandez brothers. Like that's the thing about us, like
Zach, Rage, like people.
They mean the world to me.
We're so proud of those dudes being, Zach de la Rocha and being from the bloodline that he's from, and being
his dad is from Los Four.
Hard, the famous Four, hardcore Chicano activists.
Yeah.
If you listen to the lyrics of Rage Against the Machine, a lot of what he's talking about is our struggles.
Yeah.
So when you talk about heavy music from anywhere in the world, if it's Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
The Deftones. We're right there making shit happen.
Oh yeah, it's you got Zach from saying what on like on Down Rodale has that line like, you haven't seen a brown man since your grandparents bought one. Like
it's crazy. And then if you look at the art community as well, there are the Chicano Black and Gray is huge.
Oh, huge,
globally,
huge,
seeing the influence that we're having
in Asia and Europe.
Exactly.
And, people. That kind of that culture of just like the stuff that came out of like California and the Southwest of like seeing like Chicanos and Latinos, like all that stuff from out here that like people see. I mean, it's played a role into like all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, when you see lowriders in a hip hop video, that's our influence.
And you see it when you see it. For us, it's been since the early '90s and touring with the homies, the B-boys and the Cartoon and Esteban and the guys, the homies from New York, the Rocksteady crew and all these people, and then going out there and this was prior to social media and all that, and exposing them to these cultures, and that's something that I feel really proud of, is that we were one of the first groups of people to go out there and show them our style and our culture and our, to educate them on low riding and Chicanismo and tattooing and even the whole hip hop culture. So
you look at that 50 piece on 50 Cent, his back, like you look at that style tattoo, that's all like Chicano style,
that's. And it's gone global, but we're proud of you, Holmes.
Thanks, man.
You know what I mean? We're really
proud of you. It's a real honor to be here, for real.
And we're honored to have you, and congratulations. And we're hoping that, regardless if we get a season 3 or not, we already know you're on to
gonna be more.
Thanks,
next,
man. I appreciate
the next shit,
for real.
and we have your back. So
thanks.
What about you, Johnny?
I was wondering, do you have the back brace that you were wearing when you got the call? No,
I wish I did, dog. I used that when
What was that?
I had a back. Well, when they called me that the show was getting picked up, I was still working at a warehouse.
Shit.
Yeah, I had a back brace. I remember Fred Armisen is the producer of the show.
Yeah, that's the guy from
Saturday Night Live and all that stuff. Portlandia. Yeah,
amazing. He's one of the producers?
Yeah, he hopped on. Idea. Yeah, he was an executive producer because he saw the pitch for the show and was like, oh, I want to be a part of this. Mm-hmm. And I remember the first time we talked to him on the phone was during my lunch break at the warehouse.
Wow.
Yeah, I was talking to Amugroso in my car and like just talking to him, me and my partners, Jake, Matt, and Pat. And we were talking, and that fool was like really nice guy. And yeah. But I was working at a warehouse, had a back brace on.
Wow.
Una faja.
Yeah.
People think that this shit is like it just falls into your lap, Holmes. Like, and that's a huge misconception, and especially when you find people out there that aren't always so positive. They think that you're lucky and you're this and that, but they have no idea what it took or what it takes
it takes a long time
to reach that level, the amount of work and sleepless nights and struggles. And, we've went through those and like you have. And I know Frankie was saying he was delivering sandwiches when his shit happened. He was actually delivering sandwiches. I believe when it was...
I was working for Postmates too for a long time.
That's a shit.
Yeah, but Frankie was... I knew Frankie when he was doing all that.
Wow. See, it's inspiring, and it's for people that, especially people that may be listening to this that are going through some shit, or they're working hard, or they're just, just keep going. Just keep doing it. Keep working and always have
and do it for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, do it for yourself because like if they told me that nothing would happen for me ever from now to whenever, from starting now, I would still do stand up. I go, all right, cool. Then I'll just go do stand up and at open mics because it's just something I like doing. It fuels me creatively.
Yeah.
You know, like that's if they told you if you had everything was gone tomorrow and I'm pretty sure you would still pick up your notepad and
I regardless and
you would
and
still
I,
have a black book.
I feel that way too. I would still do whatever, my video photography, graphic design, whatever I felt like doing, but I'm feeling, and like I'm always striving for more, and I have ideas and things I want to do and projects that are currently in the works. And there's a lot of really exciting things happening this year, especially for our anniversary. But like yourself, you've already made a badass mark. You've already accomplished a great feat, like a great accomplishment that people dream of. You know how many people as kids out there kids are like, I want to do a TV show. I want to have my friends on my TV show. I want to write a TV show. I want to be on TV, or I want to do travel and do stand up and work with cool people, and you've done that. And I feel that too. Like if something happens, God forbid, it's like I've lived, man.
Yeah.
Like I've made my mark. I've accomplished some things that
absolutely.
It was a lot of work, and none of us do it alone. It's like you said earlier. You and your cast
or you do it through the people who believe in you, support
absolutely.
you.
The crew here and the crew that we've had for the last 35 years, and there's no fucking way I could have done any of this by myself. And it takes, but it's for that reason. Like you were saying, the two dudes that helped you write it, the two dudes that became your friends and eventually opened the doors for you.
Yep.
Being nice to people, being kind to people, and keeping the network alive and growing, and that's
without being pushy. You know, like letting things happen naturally, but also having initiative and not being pushy.
And learning to let shit slide off of you when they can, because that relationship could come back around at some point, and they might not have a problem. I don't know. It's just it goes on and on. But how are we doing on time, Johnny? We good?
We're good. Whenever.
Good. All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up.
You got it, G. I appreciate you having me.
Oh man, it's been an honor. And
and I'm also happy I got to tell you that graph story of my mom whipping my
slapped the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Handcuffed.
What
a beautiful woman.
How many times have the cops done that? You imagine how many kids they
probably
in juvenile hall.
In juvenile hall, yeah.
Sheesh. Yeah, because you can't move. You can't run.
Huh? Yeah.
You can't hit back.
Can't block.
Yeah.
Well, you can't block. Really.
Yeah, blocking was the thing.
Blocking was that thing.
That's what I used to do. When you go to get someone, you're getting hit by mom or dad or whatever, you block.
All right,
yeah, you can't just be there.
Take it like a man.
Yeah. with your chin out. But fuck yeah, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Chris Estrada. And your IG.
At Chris Estrada Comic.
And any other IG?
Nope, that's my only IG. Check out This Fool on Hulu. Keep watching it. Hopefully we get a season 3. And then, look me up. Come and see me do stand-up whenever I'm in your town, whether that's in Sacramento on February 22nd to the 24th, or I come down to San Diego all the time. But, I'm everywhere.
Yeah, when he's in San Diego, this will be his new home.
Hell yeah. That means the world.
He'll be here whenever. But, Johnny, be good.
It's a great show. Yeah, it's great to be back.
And the board held up pretty good, dude.
Yeah, it did.
You broke it in for us, Holmes.
Chris
that was the world.
He brought us luck.
Yeah.
With this. We had plenty of issues, but this was a great podcast. It's been a little while. It's plenty of laughs. Thanks for sharing your stories.
Yeah, thank you.
Specifically the Seinfeld.
Oh yeah,
and the new one with your mom being your ass.
That's a good one. Dude.
Yeah,
you got to put that in.
I'm glad you heard the Seinfeld one. Thank you for bringing that up.
And then your film. So next week,
I'll put it out like in a week or two. We're gonna put it out on YouTube and Vimeo and stuff.
So I'll post that for you too. So we'll get behind it and let people know that
I appreciate you,
that
Bobby.
film's available. Likewise, brother. And Johnny, be good. Bobby Tribal, Lord of Podcast, 17th and Island. Chris Estrada, This Fool on Hulu. We're out.
Peace.